of the show. Sully, let's get back to the trivia question before we introduce Jack Armstrong. Come in and talk about the NBA.
I know the answer. And the answer is 1.
There it is. Since entering the NBA in 1995, how many series has the Raptors won?
That's amazing.
1.
I think I was there.
And I don't remember that.
You know what I remember is the second round it went 7, I think, against Philly, and Vince Carter, he made it to the game, but he had told his mother he was going to get his college degree from North Carolina. So it was kind of a big deal that he spent time and wasn't at the shoot around or something, and then he came to the game and they lost Game 7.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Do we have Jack on the line? Jack, we're having a technical problem right now. We're trying to get Jack Armstrong, the former Niagara coach and TSN analyst for the Raptors. He'll be joining us in just a minute, hopefully. In the meantime, Sully, why don't we just talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs and what we're looking at. You know, as I'm looking online, I see all these basketball writers, of which I am not one. I don't know if you've noticed that.
You know your hoops.
You know, these guys are covering it day to day, so I'm going to put a little bit more stock into what they have to say, as I would hope that they would do for me when we're talking about hockey or one of the other sports. But it seems like, you know, the Warriors are just, everybody's just going to shove them right to the finals, and I am not there at all with that idea, in part because of the way that they play.
Well, you know where I am. I think this is a fascinating playoff. You don't have some of the traditional powers. I mean, the Celtics are in, but they're really no factor. But, I mean, just look at, you talk about the West, the Clippers and San Antonio. San Antonio could have been second if they'd won their final game. Instead, they dropped to 6. So that tells you how packed things are in the middle. And there's 5 teams that could beat Golden State. We'll find out how good they really are. And I'll tell you, they play defense. People think they're a bunch of shooters.
Right.
They're the best three-point shooting team, but they're the best defensive field goal in the league. But we saw what happened the last time they played San Antonio, and I saw them lose at Cleveland. So there are questions about them in the biggest moments.
But when you have a team and you're looking at teams that shoot the ball the way that they do, it's like that on any level, in any college level or whatever. When teams that rely too much on the 3, they almost always get eliminated because they're in the playoffs especially. These guys can get out on the perimeter and guard them. Now we're talking about 2 of the probably the best tandem in history, right? Out from the perimeter, I would have to say. I mean, you could go back and off the top of my head, I can't think of any 2 guards that can shoot the ball quite the way that they can.
Klay Thompson,
he's terrific.
I'm not going to try to come up.
No, I don't think you could. But regardless of that, you know, these guys have had a lot of open looks all season. You give them time and space, yes, they're going to make shots. The question is, are they going to have the same time and space when they have somebody that's out there on the perimeter defending them?
I mean, you generally don't in the playoffs, and you will not against San Antonio if they play them. And the Clippers play pretty good defense too.
Right, okay. Do we have Jack Armstrong on the line now? Nope, we lost him again. Jack? We still don't have it. Okay. Well, Sully, let's look at some of the other series then. And let's stay in the West first. You know, when you look at Houston, they're going against Dallas. And when you look at when I see Houston, I think of nothing but choking. I just don't see that team. Dwight Howard, him at the line at the end of a game, a tight game. I see him missing free throws, and Dallas they're still good. They're still Dallas.
They've still got Rick Carlisle, one of the most underrated head coaches. You know, everyone talks about Popovich, of course. But he coached and beat LeBron James' Heat team the first year in the finals and found a way to neutralize him. And all he's got to do in this series is find a way to keep down James Harden. I think they can do that. And there's also an X factor named Rondo, who's been kind of a nutcase, and people think he's kind of washed up. Watch him play in the playoffs, because that's when he turns it on.
I don't know how he could be washed up. He's only about 26 or 27 years old. I mean, he could still play. And, you know, they went out there and they made that trade for this specific reason. So I know they're a number 7 seed. You talked about how packed it was, and it was. You know, in San Antonio, they lose the last game of the season against the Pelicans, who needed that game to get in. You know, there's a lot on the line for the Pelicans, but not so much for San Antonio.
And they had won 14 out of 15 going into that. And the Clippers have won 14 of their last 15. That series is just going to be marvelous. We're kind of forgetting about Portland and Memphis. Neither team. Maybe I've just seen these teams not win the ultimate series too many times, not get to the conference final and win. But they're still very dangerous teams, much better than most of the teams in the East.
You know, when you look at the NBA so often, it's unlike the NHL, and I used to, making those predictions for all those years, I was unafraid to take, an 8 against a 1 if I liked how that team was playing going in. In the NBA, it's a little bit different. I mean, the seeds generally hold up, but where it sticks out really is in the San Antonio Clippers series. The Clippers are the 3rd seed, San Antonio number 6, of course, but I think if you, look around out there, most people are taking San Antonio. And then again, that's what happens when you win 18 out of 20 or whatever it is down the stretch.
Well, I don't have my Spurs hat. They are the defending champs, but the Clippers are a dangerous team. They didn't have Griffin for part of the year. Chris Paul is under fire for not being a clutch postseason player, so we're going to find out. If Tony Parker is healthy, I still like the Spurs in that series, but it's going to be fabulous. Now the East, I think the East is top heavy. But it's fascinating because the team with the best record, the Hawks, no one believes in that team.
Yeah, and I'm one of them. And you know what? I did believe in that team for the longest. They won the Eastern Conference by 7 games, and there's no denying that. But if you look at the way that they played down the stretch, and I know that they ran into some injuries, and then you look at the way that Cleveland started the year. Sully, like January 13th, I believe it was, they were 19-20. And they ended up going on a great tear. They won 12 in a row. And you look, they had 9 losses from that point on over the final 3 months, Cleveland did. Now they finished 7 games behind Atlanta in the East. But which team is better right now? It's Cleveland. And which team is more prepared? It's Cleveland, I think. And the other ones, I mean, when you're looking at a conference where, 3 of the teams, they can't even produce a winning record, playing in the East, how challenging can it be for those top 2 teams?
I think the Bulls are very dangerous if Rose is healthy, and he is back and playing. They're deep. They always said this, and Hubie Brown, you have to have 3 really good scorers in the playoffs, and they do have 3 if Rose is playing because they have Gasol and they have Butler. But
it's going to come down to those two.
Him being healthy.
Teams. All right, Sully, we need to take a break. Make sure you stay with us. We have plenty more to come here on the Bucky and Sully Show.